YouTube, Ozick, going the Goat House is back with my Titans 2021 NFL offseason rebuild. Doing this for every single team. We've already done it for quite a few. So basically, I'm diving into this offseason, making cuts, trying to adjust the cap space situation, and then re-signing some players. Going into free agency, looking at top targets, and then top targets in terms of the draft as well. So excited for this series. Again, a lot on the channel. A lot of offseason content in general on the channel. A lot more to come. We grade every single free agency signing. We cover the NFL draft fully. So subscribe and join us for that. Constant NFL talk on our Twitter. Instant reactions to breaking news. So you're going to want to follow that Twitter. Link in the comments. And then you see underneath me, walkthemock.com. One of a kind draft simulator. Definitely the best one out there. None like it. So I would check that out. You can draft with your friends, against your friends, who aren't even in the same room as you. And there's live drafts going on constantly that you can join. So pretty cool. It ends up being pretty cheap if you use my code there, Goat House, for 20% off. Link in the comments. Here's our Twitter. Yeah, just constant talk, posting polls after these videos are done. Which scenario is better? We got a fan base bracket poll, I guess, going on right now. We're into the Final Four. This will create a future video, so just constant talk on there. Little offseason guide, cheat sheet, projected cuts, potential savings, live cap space updates, according to my projections, all estimates at this point. Link in the comments for that as well. Definitely something to keep handy. The Titans, projecting the team salary to be around $3 million. We still don't have that set team salary cap number for each team. And then they did cut Adam Humphries, which we expected. They cut him earlier today, actually. And they could potentially save more on that. We don't know yet if it's a post-June 1st cut or not. Each team has two of those each offseason, so it could potentially save a few more million there. This is around worst-case scenario for the Titans cap space, but also realistic. Cutting Malcolm Butler, freeing $10.2 million. He had a tough job along with the other corners of the Titans last year because they just had no pass rush. They had to cover forever, and he was getting better as the year went on, but $10.2 million is a lot of money. For cornerback, for me to be able to save that amount of money, or to not save that amount of money, cornerback's got to be really confident. He's got to be pretty damn good. I'm going to cut him. I'm going to save that $10.2 million. Thought about Kenny Vaccaro, realistic cut option. Here I'm playing GM. I'm going to go ahead and hang on to him. You can save just a little over $5 million with him. Not the best year last year, but the years before, he was playing pretty damn good, I thought, for them. So, do we want to cut him, create a hole? Can Amani Hooker step up? Not really thrilled about that idea. Not that I'm totally against it, but I end up saving him. We have other ways, as you can see, to clear a lot of cap space here. They could save a lot restructuring deals, and these aren't pay cuts. They're restructures. So the downside of this, and who knows, maybe they can create a pay cut here, get that going. Almost impossible to predict. But the downside is that saved money that you see there next to their names, that gets distributed through future years of those players' contracts, so you're getting more cap hits in the future. That's the downside. The Titans, it's a win-now team. I think this team can get away with doing something like this. They almost should. I'm doing it here. Ryan Tannehill, you can save a whopping $15.62 million. At least I did. I restructured his contract. That's what I got. Saved for 2021. Kevin Byard, 8.04. That's a lot too. Taylor Lewan, 7.02. Derrick Henry, 6.34 million. There's supposed to be an M there. You can possibly do Roger Saffolds too, but I think this is enough here. That's enough. A lot of that money getting pushed back, but it's a lot of money saved. Let's build that championship team now. Right now, also have a lot of key players to re-sign, but we don't want to just stay the same. We also want to get better. We want to be, right now, Titans are a pretty good playoff team. They went to the AFC Championship last year, made the playoffs this past year, won the division. Let's make it a championship team, an NFL, a Super Bowl team. So a whopping $50 million in cap space now after that, so that looks pretty good. They got some wiggle room. They got to make it happen like I did here. I'm going to re-sign Jonnu Smith. Honestly, I would tag Jonnu Smith, and I know I'm playing GM here, but from what I've heard, they're just not going to do it. So I wanted to keep this realistic, so I decided, and I'm fine with re-signing him. I'm just thinking tagging might be better. It's going to be interesting, though. They seem to be pretty confident, unless they're just letting him walk. But, they seem to be pretty confident. Maybe they can get him back cheaper than the franchise tag, which is, what is that, $9.5 million for him. I'm afraid, everyone's looking for that mismatched tight end, that athletic upside tight end that you can do multiple different things with. in their offense to take that next step, try to compete with the Chiefs, especially in the AFC. And that says Jonnu Smith to me. So I think they can have a bidding war for Jonnu Smith. That could drive the price up. I'm a little scared about that. Hoping we're keeping it around $10 million or under here for Jonnu Smith. Corey Davis, this is tough too. It needs to stay under a certain price. There's some people talking he could exceed 12.5 million. I'm not going there. I'm not going above that. That's too much for me for a receiver, especially one that's still a little bit of a question mark. Had the best year of his career, so I'd like him back. Full year with Ryan Tannehill. Played very well. Would like him back. We cut Adam Humphries here in this scenario. Well, they already did in real life. So, you can't create. Imagine if they lose Corey Davis. They're going to need to fill multiple slots at receiver. Imagine they lose Corey Davis and Jonnu Smith in terms of pass-catching weapons. Nightmare situation. So let's get him back. Let's hope it stays around that $10 million, similar to Jonnu Smith. Jayon Brown I would like back. Same thing. Hopefully it stays around a certain point around there, maybe a little cheaper. I think Jayon Brown is their best off-the-ball linebacker. Rashaan Evans, a little disappointing last year, but upside. David Long's been pretty impressive. So it's not the end of the world if they lose him. I just think he's their best one. I would like to have him back if I'm playing GM for them. So we'll see what happens there. I did free the space for a reason here. Desmond King shouldn't be overly expensive. They traded for him for a reason. He can play slot corner at a high level. So let's grab him back. Anthony Firkser, another cheap option. Been playing pretty well as a rotation tight end. So I'd like to get him back as well. Isaiah Wilson, they're shopping him right now. We were talking about him and the numbers, how it would work, and the potential fits on Twitter. I could have put him in here. We're going to trade him, and we're going to save 2 point whatever million by doing that. I just don't know if teams will trade for him right now. They might just wait until they cut him. The problem is the Titans cut him. They lose money. They lose $2.67 million by cutting him. So we'll let that play out, see what happens. Just keep that in mind. Again, we talk about those numbers and when things happen, breaking news on our Twitter. So then we go into free agency and the draft, top targets, and we have a lot of cap space. We spent a lot on re-signing. This is why I created this much. So they're going to have to go to work and create this much or more. I would love Bud Dupree for them. I'm a big Bud Dupree fan. He created for his teammates last year. You talk about the Steelers, they have so much in their front seven. Is that why some guys like this look good? I thought he was playing very, very good, helping his teammates, get production. He can rush from the edge or inside. This would upgrade they need pass rush so badly. It would upgrade them big time. I guess the concern is his injury. Maybe this is a 1 or 2 year deal. We cut Malcolm Butler in this scenario, so we need a guy that can start. Shaq Griffin, good young veteran that can plug and play. So add him. And then Shelby Harris. I'd like to add a guy like that can, fill in with Jeffrey Simmons there on the D line. Might need a couple D linemen. Titans are weird though. Sometimes they got 2 defensive linemen, actually handing the dirt out there, and they're only rushing 3 total. They're weird sometimes in their defense. But Harris can play nose tackle if you need him to. He can play D tackle. And Jeffrey Simmons is kind of the same thing, but they probably prefer him, Jeffrey Simmons that is, at D tackle, not straight in the middle, so because he has the ability to rush the passer a little more, get after the quarterback. So that would be ideal. Let me go on the draft, and yes, I'm going with another edge rusher, Jalen Phillips from Miami. In this case, we have Bud Dupree, we have Harold Landry. I love both of them. Bud Dupree, again, injury concern was late last year, only a 1-year deal maybe. Harold Landry, for some reason, they like to drop in coverage more than they probably should. Not that he's bad at anything. I think he's a pretty good rusher if they let him rush. So that's why they may need different types of pass rushers, guys. They can rotate in there, play all at the same time, whatever they're feeling. It's definitely a unique defense. Jalen Phillips, I'm a big fan. I think he's the best right now pass rusher in the draft. The reason he won't be the first off the board is because there are some concussion concerns, I suppose. I'm not overly worried about it. I think he fits greatly with the Titans. I think they'll like him. A lot of upside here. Definitely a guy I would love to have if I were them. Then I think Rondale Moore will fit. The shifty receiver from Purdue, adding him in with the speedy receiver from Purdue, adding him in, and shifty with A.J. Brown and Corey Davis. And then they could use another tackle here, maybe a potential or a future starting right tackle. Didn't work out with Isaiah Wilson, obviously, with his situation. They're fine, as long as they're healthy with the offensive line. Like today, if they were to go on the field today, if they're healthy, Taylor Lewan getting hurt created a pretty big mess. Not that the offensive line was terrible, but you got true right tackles moving to left tackle. We got Isaiah Wilson being a bum, and I guess that's a nice way to put it. But Dennis Kelly's fine at right tackle. You know, it's just you probably can get better for the future. I like Brady Christensen from BYU. He had a really good season. He did play left tackle, but I think we can move him at right tackle. I think it's a good scheme fit type of guy there. So looking out for near future there. Option 2, J.J. Watt's possibility. They've been interested in him. He has not signed yet, obviously, at the time of recording this video. What was it, the 25th? J.J. Watt would fit at defensive end in their interesting scheme, you know, so he'd play kind of opposite of Jeffrey Simmons. So people view J.J. Watt as a pass rusher, but he's not going to be that outside linebacker, which is the edge rush position in the Titans scheme. So adding J.J. Watt would help there. I mean, him and Jeffrey Simmons on the D-line will be a force if Watt's healthy. That's the scary thing. So you need an actual edge rusher. I like Carl Lawson. I think he's a very underrated free agent here. He's got a ton of upside, freakish build. You just got to work with him a little bit. He's getting there, you know. So I like him a lot. So put him on the edge, pair him with Harold Landry. I didn't even mention we didn't bring Jadeveon Clowney back. I wouldn't be against bringing him back. It's got to be the right price because he has injury concern. He misses games a lot, you know. But he, you know, felt like he was starting to get going, getting pressure. He wasn't really actually sacking the quarterback as much as you would like him to, but it's a possibility. And a guy like Marvin Jones, the receiver from the Lions, you know, I think is pretty productive, pretty underrated. So, you know, in this case, we had a free agent receiver to pair with our receiver duo there. Then we go to the draft, definitely need a corner. J.C. Horn should go around that range. Very physical corner, wants to tackle. You know, the only negative about him is he gets called for some pass interferences, could get called in the league, but really tight in coverage, good in man zone, very physical, knows how to run press. So I like him. Ali McNeil, I think a lot of teams around this range in the second round, earlier maybe, will be after a guy like Ali McNeil. If you need a nose tackle, Ali McNeil is your guy. This is the best nose tackle, the best run stopper in the draft class. In this draft class, I'm a big fan. He's got a lot of upside getting after the quarterback as well. You know, if the Titans need a nose tackle, they don't bring Daquan Jones back. If they need a nose tackle and they're on the clock in the second rounds, and Ali McNeil is there, I think they're going to take him. I'm confident about that. I like the fit there. Tilano Hufanga from USC. I would, this is, again, they may move on from Vaccaro. It's not going to be long if they do keep him. Is Amani Hooker is he the answer? Could be more of a slot guy. I think it's a good, strong safety option, a guy that's always around the ball. So I think they'll like him maybe for a near future, a year 2 starting type of guy here. I mean, he could, not that he couldn't in year 1, I just in this specific scenario here. So those are my Titan scenarios. So this is kind of how to make them an actual championship team, even though they were pretty close. Things need to be done. I say this about a lot of teams, but they got to clear that space. Things need to be done, and then you got to attack and get the players. I guess the toughest part is, especially with those restructures, like what if you restructure, clear all that space, and then these guys decide to go elsewhere? So you got to be confident as well. It's extremely hard. It's not just going out there and making moves. It's way more complicated than that. So a team like the Titans here, it's a good example. See what they do. We'll talk about these scenarios on Twitter like we do to all the teams. We're going to do every single team for this video series, so excited about that. Full NFL offseason content, a lot of different types of content on the channel right now, and a lot more to come. So if you join us for that, subscribe, turn notifications on, follow us on Twitter, and that's going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.